Welcome back to the Control Delivery. Today we are doing a deep dive into a regulatory minefield that honestly strikes fear into the hearts of defense teams everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. It's the ultimate nightmare scenario.
Right. Because, you're a defense prime, you just won this massive foreign contract, the hardware is flawless, the end user certificates are signed, the DoD is on board, and the champagne is popped.
Yeah, everyone's celebrating.
Exactly. But then a week later, your empowered official is handed a statutory debarment notice. And it's all because some Tier 3 subcontractor you rarely even speak to bought a foreign defense minister a first-class ticket to a trade show, and you failed to disclose it.
And that right there is the blind spot. You assume the scrutiny from the government is strictly on the physical hardware, right?
Yep.
The technical data, the security of the export.
Right, the actual ITAR stuff.
Exactly. But that assumption is catastrophic because the government demands total, unblinking visibility into the financial marketing arrangements of your entire supply chain.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are looking at ITAR Part 130 today. And the mission for this deep dive is to equip you, whether you're a business development VP trying to close a deal in Riyadh, or an empowered official hitting submit in DTCCS, or even a venture capitalist auditing a new aerospace startup with the operational knowledge to actually survive this.
Which is critical because it's so easily overlooked.
It really is. And we're pulling our insights today from a stack of compliance documents. We've got the 2025 Defense Export Handbook, DDTC guidelines, the ECFR, and some expert compliance checklists.
Yeah, the heavy reading.
The very heavy reading. But it really frames Part 130 as this financial x-ray for international defense deals. It's designed to spot the hidden bones of foreign corruption.
I love that analogy, because to truly grasp Part 130, you have to look at the motivation. Usually the ITAR is a shield for sensitive U.S. military tech.
Right.
But Part 130 is an odd duck. It functions more like an enforcement arm for the 1977 Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, the FCPA. The government recognized that global defense trade is uniquely susceptible to bribery.
Because the contracts are astronomical, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The buyers are sovereign nations. A single procurement decision can literally alter the GDP of a small country.
But wait, doesn't the FCPA already police that? It feels redundant to have an export regulation doing the job of an anti-bribery law.
It does seem that way, but there's a big difference. The FCPA is a retroactive punisher. The DOJ steps in after the bride is paid and the damage is done.
Yeah.
Part 130 acts as a proactive, mandatory disclosure roadblock built directly into the export licensing process. The DDTC won't just trust you. They force you to legally certify your compliance before they ever approve the hardware transfer.
So it's a transparency mandate. Let's look at the actual rule, when does this apply? Because the threshold is pretty specific.
It is. Part 130 kicks in when you submit a license or approval for the export of defense articles or services valued at $500,000 or more.
And that's sold commercially to the armed forces of a foreign country or an international organization, right?
Exactly. That $500,000 mark is the trigger.
Wait, does this only apply to items shipped straight from the U.S., by an American prime contractor?
No, and that is a massive pitfall. It also applies to re-exports and retransfers of foreign-made articles that contain U.S. munitions list content.
Oh, wow. So the ITAR taint follows the part.
It always does. If a European aerospace company puts an ITAR-controlled sensor in their jet, selling that jet to a third country triggers U.S. reporting requirements.
The sources mentioned enforcement actions against BAE Systems and Airbus for this exact thing.
Yeah, those are stark cautionary tales. The State Department will absolutely reach across international borders to enforce this if U.S. tech is involved.
Okay, so that's the DCS, the direct commercial sales side. You log into GTCS, you fill out a form DSP-5, and you literally can't submit it without checking the Part 130 box.
Right, it's a hard digital guardrail. But what's fascinating here is how this applies to foreign military sales, or FMS.
Oh.
Because in an FMS deal, the U.S. government acts as the intermediary. The DoD is running point, so the exporter often doesn't need to file a standard export license application.
Meaning that digital guardrail, that mandatory DSP-5 checkbox, just vanishes.
Exactly. The alarm clock is unplugged, but the law still applies. So companies lack the built-in system reminder to disclose payments.
That is a massive blind spot.
It is. Your BD team thinks the DoD handled the regulatory lifting, completely missing that you still have to proactively notify the DDTC about, say, the $150 grand you paid an independent agent in Europe to lay the groundwork.
Man, that is terrifying for a compliance team.
It's one of the most common ways established contractors accidentally violate the ITAR.
So let's talk thresholds. We know the machine turns on at a $500,000 contract value, but not all payments are treated equally, right? What exactly are we reporting?
Right, the DDTC divides this into two buckets. First, you have fees or commissions.
Which is standard commercial stuff.
Yeah, a loan, gift, or payment to solicit or promote a sale. Paying independent reps, distributors, consultants. Because this is legitimate, the reporting threshold is an aggregate of $100,000 or more.
Okay, an aggregate of 100 grand. And the second bucket is political contributions.
Right, this is a payment benefiting a foreign governmental official, candidate, or political party.
Like funding a defense minister's re-election campaign.
Exactly. And because that is inherently suspicious, the threshold is much lower. It's an aggregate of just $5,000.
$5,000. That's nothing in international defense sales.
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
And the baseline for both categories, meaning any individual payment that counts toward that aggregate bucket, is just $1,000.
Okay, wait, I just had an aha moment here. This isn't just triggered when a payment is actually made, is it?
No, it is not.
So for small military contractors, this is a huge catch. The trigger is pulled the moment an offer or agreement to pay is made.
Yes. Whether it's in cash, in kind, or via a written contract, if you promise a fractional sales agent in the Middle East a 5% commission on an impending $2 million drone sale.
Even if the sale is 2 years away and no money is moved?
Exactly. That agreement must be detailed explicitly in your DECCS licensing package immediately.
Or, like, offering a fleet of civilian vehicles in exchange for prioritizing a tender. That in-kind offer is reportable right away.
Yep. And you have to keep track of it over time because of supplemental reporting.
Right, because deals change. Say we agree to an $80,000 commission. We're under the 100K threshold, so we don't report. 9 months later, the order doubles. We add 60K to the commission. Now we're at 140,000.
You are on the clock. If subsequent developments occur, you must file a supplementary report within 30 days.
Wow, 30 days.
Yeah. Specifically, if a new political contribution hits $2,500 or a new fee hits $50,000, it creates immense friction between BD and compliance.
I can imagine. Well, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's pivot from the prime contractor's direct actions to the supply chain. The flow-down trap.
Ah, yes. 22 CFR section 130.12.
Right. Because you aren't just responsible for your own payments.
Yeah.
As an applicant, you inherit the exposure of your vendors.
Your subsystem suppliers. If you buy a domestic optical payload for your drone, and that Ohio-based subcontractor paid an international broker a $60,000 fee to clear field testing,
And they don't disclose it to me.
then your prime license application is legally inaccurate. You just submitted a false statement to the federal government.
That is wild. Like a game of compliance telephone.
That's a great way to put it. You have to implement a formal Part 130 solicitation workflow. You request this info from your vendors.
Well, what if they just ghost you? Like, what if the vendor fails to respond to the form?
You cannot just claim ignorance. You are legally required to explicitly notify the DDTC of the vendor's failure to answer.
Wait, really? You have to tell on your own supplier to the State Department.
Yes, before you can proceed with the export. It causes massive business friction, but it forces transparency up the entire vertical integration of the platform.
The person holding the receiver at the end of that telephone game, the empowered official, is the one who gets penalized if the message breaks down.
Exactly. You either ensure your supply chain is clean, or you hold up a multi-million-dollar export.
So we've mapped the minefield. Let's talk about the compliance toolkit. How do BDVPs and empowered officials actually traverse this safely?
It starts in DECCS, the cloud-based portal. Form DSP-5 forces a positive certification. You must legally declare if you or your vendors have paid or offered qualifying amounts.
So what are the actionable best practices here?
First, never use verbal consultant agreements, ever.
If it isn't documented with a hard cap, it didn't happen.
Right. Implement strict business development contracts, explicitly cap commissions, and include ITAR compliance clauses. Strike any unitemized brokerage fees.
And you need internal audits, right? Tracking purchase orders to the actual payment.
Yes, to ensure what was declared to customs actually happened. The accounting reality has to match the DECCS paperwork perfectly.
And record keeping. The sources made a huge point that failing to maintain these records is itself an ITAR violation.
5 years. You must keep all Part 130 records for a minimum of 5 years. If the DDTC audits you and you lost the vendor solicitation forms, you're guilty of an infraction, even if no bribe was ever paid.
The stakes are just insanely high.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the penalties go way beyond fines. We are talking statutory or administrative debarment.
Which is a death sentence for a defense startup.
A completely debarred party is entirely prohibited from participating in any ITAR-controlled activities. Your revenue drops to zero.
So if you're a VC auditing a new acquisition, you have to look for this.
You have to. An undeclared consulting fee can wipe out your entire investment overnight. Total visibility is non-negotiable.
So what does this all mean? It means actionable compliance requires proactive supplier management. You can't just cross your fingers and hope your vendors are playing by the rules.
No, you can't. And I'll leave you with this really complex gray area from the text. ITAR Section 130.6 explicitly says that taxes, customs duties, license fees, and other legally required charges are not political contributions.
Okay, that makes sense.
But as companies expand into emerging global markets where systemic corruption blurs the lines of government, how does an empowered official actually distinguish between a legally required local administrative fee and a disguised political bribe?
Man, that is a terrifying question for compliance teams to mull over.
It's the reality of international defense trade.
Truly. Well, that wraps up our deep dive on Part 130. Tomorrow, we're moving from international broker networks down to physical infrastructure security with an infographic layout. The 5-step physical security protocol for ITAR integration facilities, so make sure you tune in for that. Until then, keep your supply chains clean.